Hello, friends. Mrs. Taima here, and we are ready to start day 4 of Module 2 Wit and Wisdom. Myself and Miss Spears will be teaching you together to learn our goal for today, which is what is the important message or the lesson in The Hare and the Tortoise. You will be reviewing what the important message is in the story. You will also get to do some acting today. So make sure you get those muscles warmed up and ready to work. All right, friends, make sure you're ready to learn. You're in a good learning spot and you have all of your materials ready.
Hello, first graders, and welcome back to Wit and Wisdom in Sync. My name is Tanisha Spears, and I'm excited to get into our learning today. But before we do, let's make sure you have your materials ready. For this lesson, you will need handout 5A, the Hare and the Tortoise topic sandwich. You'll need your Wit and Wisdom in Sync journal, a pencil. You'll also need colored pencils or markers or crayons, whichever you have. Pause the video now to gather your materials. The question that will frame our learning for today is, what is the important message in this text? Specifically, we'll be thinking about the important message in the fable, The Hare and the Tortoise. And remember, in fables, the important message is called a lesson. So we're going to be looking for the lesson in The Hare and the Tortoise. But before we do, let's review the meaning of a lesson. A lesson is a thing that teaches us something. I'll say it one more time. A lesson is a thing that teaches us something. So now what we are going to do is we are going to think about the lesson that the hare and the tortoise can teach us. Let's take a minute to review the characters' actions as we think about what we can learn from the fable. And I have a challenge for you. I'd like you to act out what the hare did during the fable, The Hare and the Tortoise. Say it one more time. I'd like you to act out what the hare did during the fable, The Hare and the Tortoise. And I want you to do it right in the spot in front of your screen. But first, to get you ready, I want you to think about what are some of the hare's actions, okay? Think about the hare's actions. Are you ready? All right, act it out. Now I want you to take a minute and think about what the tortoise did during the race. Again, think about what the tortoise did during the race. Now, act that out. I wish I could see how you showed the character's actions, but I wonder, when you acted like the hare, did you move quickly and then stop to pretend like you were napping? What about the tortoise? Did you pretend to keep moving steadily? I bet you did. Before we identify the lesson, let's take a moment and recap the fable using the story map. Remember, when we organized the lesson and looked closely at the characters' actions, we talked about how the hare made fun of the tortoise and then the tortoise challenged the hare to a race. And I'm sure you remember that while the hare started off quickly, when the hare took a nap, the tortoise moved ahead and won the race. Now I want you to think. We're going to think about some lessons we could learn from these details. I want you to take a moment and tell your learning partner a lesson that can be learned from the hare and the tortoise. Here are two possible lessons. The first, don't make fun of others. And then another lesson could be, even if you are slow, if you keep going, you can win the race. One thing to remember is that a lesson needs to have key details from the text to support it. So I'm going to think about details that can support the first lesson. Remember, one of the lessons we identified was don't make fun of others. And here's one detail that supports that lesson. Hare made fun of Tortoise. I'm not sure about you, but I can't think of other details from the text that supports this lesson. So let's see if we can find more details that supports the other lesson. Remember, here is the other lesson. Even if you are slow, you can keep going and win the race. Also remember, the lesson has to have key details from the text that support it. So what I want you to do is I want you to think of text evidence that could support this lesson. And remember, you can go back to the story map if you need to remember more details. Are you ready? Pause the video now to record aloud. I'm sure you thought of lots of details to support the lesson that even when you are slow, if you keep going, you can win the race. Here are two that you might have thought of. Tortoise did not give up. Tortoise won the race. Now I want you to think, which lesson might be a better fit for the story? Think about that. Which lesson might be a better fit for the story? Here's what I think. We found more text evidence or details for the second lesson, so that seems like it might be a better fit for the story. And one unique thing about fables is that fables usually end by telling readers the lesson, but for our work today, we did that together. All right, now let's review the lesson that is included in the fable. Let's click the link to go back to the fable to read the lesson. The race is not always to the swift. Take a look at the chart on the screen. The middle column includes the lesson that you worked on today. And the third column, the column on the right-hand side, includes the lesson from the fable. So the lesson that we identified today was, even if you are slow, if you keep going, you can win the race. And the lesson from the fable says, the race is not always to the swift. I wonder, did you notice how the lesson we identified and the lesson from the text are similar? The one thing that